Welcome to A Cup Full with myself, Tshegetso Mwebi, a safe, honest, and open space that aims to help you navigate healing, growth, and just overall prioritizing your well-being. It is guaranteed to get uncomfortable for sure and very vulnerable, but more than anything else, an opportunity to enjoy the peace that comes with working on yourself. Here's to filling your cup up. Hi community, welcome to this week's episode of A Cup Full. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. In this week's episode, we are going to be getting into you should be the one defining what a life of ease looks like to you. So living your idea of a soft life or an easy life or a life that is filled with peace and happiness and embracing your individuality as well. I think that both of them have got to do with being able to just really be present in your own life, embracing individuality, and then being able to define what an easy life, a simple life, a good life looks like to you. And of course, I say they come together quite well because individuality has a lot to do with knowing what it is you want and being comfortable with it. And then once you do know what you want and what you are comfortable with, you're able to define what a good life looks like to you. There is plenty of word on the streets all the time. And by the streets, I'm talking about the tips of people's tongues. I mean social media, other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's desire. There is also a collective idea. This is what I've picked up in my personal experiences and the things that I've seen on social media and just the kinds of conversations that I've heard people have and in conversations I've had with other people. There is this collective idea of what living a soft life or a good life looks like, which often looks like the luxury brands, big houses, traveling to fancy and expensive destinations, eating at glitzy restaurants, mingling with the right people, wearing the expensive perfumes, driving the expensive car, doing Pilates. And don't get me wrong, when I get my money right, I'm definitely paying for that because health is wealth. It just looks like such a enjoyable kind of exercise to do where you're also really taking good care of your body and you're just encouraging good vibes for yourself. So that's definitely something I would invest in. But it is being promoted largely as like the in exercise to do, the very luxurious exercise to do, especially amongst women, specifically amongst women. Getting the current skin and body enhancements or corrections. The list really is endless. It never ends. And people aren't doing what they want to do anymore. No one is even allowed to like whatever they want to like without being booed or even questioned for not wanting better or not wanting more. I really do not like how people are choosing to think about things. If you don't want what other people want, if you don't define softness and a good life according to what other people see it as or believe it to be, then you just aren't ambitious enough. And I think that that is so unfair because what happened to being individuals? What happened to wanting different things? What happened to not seeing things the same way? You cannot attack me for not wanting to participate in certain things. And you also do not have the right to call somebody else not ambitious enough or not willing to work hard enough for a good life. But what a good life looks like to you might not necessarily be what a good life looks like to the next person. And I think that's something that we need to be very considerate of when we talk to people and when we talk of people and when we talk about certain things, because I really do think that the day and age that we live in now, this digital, very social media aggressive, very having similar opinions, is not giving people an opportunity to be expressive of who they are and what they want. Some people are really not into this whole having luxury brands, being able to go to expensive places, being able to purchase expensive perfumes and talking to the right people and being in the right spaces. That is not their idea of wealth and health and softness. So I really do think that we need to think before we say things, really just ponder on your thoughts before you choose to engage in certain conversations with people. Be open-minded. We live in a very big world, in a very different world. It's very different everywhere you go. People have different views, people have different desires. And most of this world is a free world. So we aren't supposed to be pushing anything down anyone's throat. When you don't want what other people want, you aren't being less ambitious or exciting. Not going after the glitzy, wealthy life that other people aspire to doesn't mean you aren't focused enough. And that's just something that I really want to impress in today's episode. Not wanting to have this really, really extra hectic, glitzy life, or really extra hectic, luxurious life does not make you less ambitious. Some people are not interested in that, and that is completely okay. I also get very frustrated because I don't know when we got to the point where living in things that are termed as democracies, even though I know that that doesn't exist, this is not the episode for that, and this is not necessarily the podcast where I break that kind of topic down, but considering that I'm trying to get into this, most people live in countries or on continents that consider democracy and freedom as something important to the well-being of its people. And so if we all have the right to speak our minds, or we all have the right to live our lives the way we want to, why would you want to force somebody else or make somebody else feel bad for not wanting the things that you want? Looking down on people or shaming people and going as far as saying that they aren't ambitious enough just because they don't see life the same way that you do. And that's, again, why I say we need to be extremely careful and stop getting excited by being behind a keyboard, tweeting, being able to access people through their Instagram pictures, through reels, videos. That, number one, does not mean much, actually. It's just social media. It's something that you're consuming. It's business for some people, it's work for some people, and the more you interact with their work, the more they get paid. And some people are just passing time, so they're in social media and they're just passing time. Some people are shopping. We are all on social media to experience different things, but what we need to be careful of is not to get so carried away that we end up disrespecting people and find it easier to disrespect people just because of you're behind a screen and you're typing and you don't have to talk to that person and you don't have to see that person in that moment. Because we all know that in reality, if you were standing next to a person, those are not the kinds of things you would say to them. So I really think we shouldn't be allowing social media to let us take things so far as saying people are not focused enough. I'm going to keep saying it, we don't all want the same things. And some people's focus is really just living in a healthy body and having healthy finances and living in a very comfortable home. And when I say comfortable, I'm not talking about a 3-story house or even a double-story house. They just want good security, a good fencing. They want to live in a decent neighborhood. They want safety. Safety is very important to them. You know, being able to afford to get some good security. That kind of comfort. That's the kind of comfort I'm talking about. And some people want to live in high-end estates and drive high-end cars and mingle with the right people and just have big enough pockets. So, because of our standards in life are not the same, and the things that we want in our lives are not the same, it doesn't make the other person less ambitious, and it doesn't make you, for example, who wants more, and I say more, please take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I say more because it's more for you in comparison to what other people want, but that doesn't mean it's more and it makes you better and the other person less than. It just means that it isn't what other people want. Not going after the glitz, it just means that it isn't what other people want. They don't have the same definition as you in terms of what soft and good looks like. And they are also exercising their individuality. Definitely. When you don't want the same things and you don't see things the same way as other people, you are being an individual. It doesn't mean that you aren't reaching far enough, that you aren't seeing that there is more. You are seeing that there's more. That's why you're waking up every day and you're working hard and you're setting your own goals. And that's why we won't all have the same vision board. We won't all have the same goals. We won't all have the same dreams, because we're individuals, because we want different things. And I think that the world, people, social media, and all the other things that are causing this pressure are being so unnecessarily unfair. And it also often leads to isolating people just because you don't see them the same way, or because of they don't want the same things as you do. What I really need for everyone to do, I need people that do want those things to stop coming down on people who want to live more, what I'm going to call modest lives. And again, it's just ridiculous that we've come up with all of these words just because of what you want looks different to what someone else wants. It's all going to be success at the end of the day, because if someone has set a goal for themselves and they've put something down for themselves and they achieve it, then they've made something come true. Then they have achieved a thing and they've reached their level of success. They've paid off their debt. They've saved 200,000 Rand, or they've saved 10,000 Rand, or they've saved 5,000 Rand. It is their achievement. The key word being their, not yours, not ours, that one person's individual achievement. So we need to really think, like I said, and focus on our own lives. Focus on our own lives. I always say it. Focus on your own life. Focus on your own existence. Focus on your own desires. I love being inspired. I absolutely enjoy seeing other people's successes. I love hearing people say they've achieved their goals. They don't even have to disclose what goals they've achieved. It's really great. It's something to be celebrated, and that's what we should be doing as people who live in community with one another. By virtue of being on earth, just by virtue of being on earth, we are in the same community. We live on earth. And we should be able to celebrate a person saying, I've done this, I've done that. You don't have to have bought a Porsche. You don't have to have bought a house in some fancy estate. It's not just about getting the degree. It's about so much more, because we all come from different places. And you have no right as a person, or no one has the right actually, as someone who has achieved something that they consider as bigger. What is bigger? What is smaller? And when did achieving your goal become something small? That's a big deal. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I am really trying to get rid of the words small win, big win. All wins should be big. No win should be classified as small, because we live a very complex lives. We live complex lives that are filled with challenges. And every time you win at something, it's a big thing. It's a big deal. I just want to know what happened to human beings, being individuals who like very different things and aspire to live very different lives. Where is the space for each to be their own and have their own? Where? What happened? When did it happen? Why are we giving so much power and an upper hand to things that really don't have much value? Why do we want to downplay things that are really big deals because it's not a big enough deal in somebody else's eye? Absolutely not. It's something that I really want to encourage everyone to do in this year. We are still at the beginning of it. Please consider every time that you win, every time that you succeed as something big. And please make an effort to stop comparing your success and your wins and the goals that you are achieving to what another person is achieving, because that's their big, and your big and their big won't look the same, and it shouldn't make you feel less than, and it shouldn't push you into a corner where you are not able to get out, or you just end up doing things that are beyond you, or because you want to fit in to what other people are deeming as big and on a larger scale and the epitome of success. What is also interesting is how individuality is encouraged, but when people behave as individuals, they are spoken of and spoken to in such a horrific manner. So very recently, and I'm talking about, when I say recently, I'm talking about December of 2022, I came across a video by YouTuber and beauty mogul Jackie Aina. She was speaking on how dead individuality is, and she made an example of a birthday shoot that American rapper JT did. So if you listen to hip hop, specifically women who rap, then you will know of the City Girls. She is part of that duo. They're quite big in the States, everywhere really. Her makeup, hair, and clothing in that shoot was very different from her day-to-day look, as it should be, because it's a birthday shoot. I've never done a birthday shoot before, but when I can afford it, of course it's going to be different. I'm not going to do just some regular concept. It's special. I'm celebrating my life, and I'm a big believer in celebrating your birthday. It's a milestone. She looked so good, absolutely hot and beautiful. Jackie Aina briefly spoke of the comments and how absolutely awful they were. So I went to that post and I looked for myself, because the conversation that she had cultivated sort of required you to understand what exactly she was talking about. So I decided that I'm going to go and look at the comments. She had already spoken that they were vile, so I was already expecting that. But my goodness, what a heinous sight. The comments were absolutely disgusting, and people had a problem with every single thing about that shoot. They were attacking her skin tone, her facial features, the concept of the shoot. Nothing was right about what she chose to partake in. And how do you bash someone for expressing themselves? She didn't disrespect anyone. All she did was have a photo shoot for her birthday, a momentous day in her life. Something worth celebrating, and people turn that into it being about them, how they felt, what they needed. What then is the point of individuality? What then is the point of individuality if people can't actually be individuals? The idea of individuality on paper is such a lovely thing, but in reality, when you are an individual, you're bashed. You are called less than, you aren't ambitious enough, or you are too ambitious. It doesn't end. And obviously, different people receive it in different ways. People of different skin tones in the black community will receive it in different ways. JT's a much darker black woman, so she was obviously on the much harder receiving end. It's a different story for a much lighter black woman. But what I'm saying at the end of the day is, even a much lighter black woman, or whoever it could have been, if people wanted to find something wrong with it, they were going to find something wrong with it. And I have a problem with that. Why can people not be individuals? Is there now a kind of a framework for individuality that people must follow? What is individuality? Does individuality even exist anymore? I always say we should focus on ourselves and our own lives, and this is why. People are always going to have something to say. If you let what they have to say about you be the reason why you do certain things and why you don't do certain things, then it's just going to be a constant noose around your neck. It's never going to be good enough. It's always going to be a problem. So that's why I say we need to just focus on ourselves. It isn't right that people are harsh and mean and rude and don't actually believe in individuality. But I'm also here to promote the fact that you need to focus on your own life and you focus on yourself and be the individual that you need to be. It's also very true that when you don't know what you want in your life, what you like, what you don't like, what you know you desire, then you are constantly going to be in a rush to do what everyone else is doing. The current big trend of clothing, food, romance, friendships, decor, aesthetics in general, you're going to be easily swayed every single time. So you can't give people that satisfaction. I really like that JT never took that post down. And that's why that's a form of not giving people that satisfaction. You're allowed to be an individual. My argument here is, can we even be individuals anymore? Is it enough? But I'm also saying be an individual, because it most definitely is enough. You're allowed to be an individual. What everyone should be asking themselves is that what I like? Or is that what other people are saying I should like? Embracing your individuality and exploring it further. Every single day, make it a point to figure yourself out. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you don't like. And ask yourself in every single possible moment that you can. Ask yourself in every single moment. Is this something that I'm going to enjoy? Is this something I like? Or is this just something that's being forced down my throat? Every single time you choose to not learn about yourself or not understand what it is you actually want, you aren't giving yourself a chance to get to know you and understand what fits in which part of your life. You are cutting off the ties of communication, and you are responsible for establishing that with yourself. The first good relationship that you should have and that you should work on is the one that you have with yourself. The big and small things should be easy to understand about you. What you like and don't like shouldn't be the things you take forever to think about. You should know. Sure, we're all learning on a daily basis, and of course one day at a time, but you still have to be intentional about creating an environment where a relationship with yourself is being harnessed with the intention to grow it and thrive it all the way through. So, at this very moment, ask yourself, what is it that I like? There isn't anything you aren't allowed to mention or think about. The food, clothing, colors, beverages, genres of movies, series, podcasts, and books. Whatever it is, think about it. Think about it. The list is really endless. Identify your needs and write them down. It's so easy to visualize things too when you have written them down. You can see it. You can already see it. And you can stand firm in it. If you aren't a sushi person, then you just aren't. If you're not a boba person, then you aren't. If you are not into Starbucks, then you just are not. If you do not like sparkling water, then you don't. And there's nothing wrong with you. And if you do like sparkling water, then that's completely fine. That's also okay. We don't have to like the same things. It doesn't have to be that way. Get comfortable with not being everyone's cup of tea. That's something else. You won't be everyone's favorite. You won't be everyone's most interesting person. It's fine. You don't need to be less of yourself so that you are more palatable to the next person or people. That probably means those just aren't your people, and that you should cultivate friendships with people who would be more relatable to you and wouldn't want to change you. It's the same as a romantic relationship. If you need to be more palatable to a person, that person is probably not your person. So you gotta get up out of there and keep being yourself. You're going to find the person that you are supposed to be. So this is where we are ending this week's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't chaotic. It sounded a little bit chaotic when I was talking the whole time, but I hope you got the gist of what I was saying, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can listen to A Cupful on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Please don't forget to generously give this podcast a 5-star rating. You love it here, and what better way to show it than to rate it with 5 beautiful stars. Another way to show how much you enjoy this space is to share A Cupful as far and wide as you possibly can. Tell everyone about it, especially those who you know need it or would enjoy listening to it, or both. Have a beautiful remainder of this week. Work when you need to, rest when you need to. Take good care of your heart and mind. Value your time and space, and don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup